I am the illegitimate daughter of the Sioux family, hidden from public view, and my sole value in existence is to marry, on behalf of my sister, the prominent figure from the Gu family, rumored to possess a volatile temperament and disabled legs. At the wedding, when the pastor inquired if I was willing, I seized the microphone in front of the city's elite. I am not willing. The entire assembly erupted in shock. My father trembled with rage, pointing at my nose and berating me as insane. Yet they were unaware of the voice in my mind. Congratulations to the host for rejecting the marriage alliance. The single life extension system is now officially activated. On the first day of being single, a reward of 1 million is granted, along with +1 to life value. Claire, dare you repeat that? My father Victor's roar nearly lifted the church's roof. My sister Iris, standing beside me in her bridesmaid dress, lowered her voice. Are you mad? If you dare ruin this marriage, Mom and Dad will kill you. I calmly gazed at her, then at the astonished guests below the stage, and finally, my eyes settled on Adrian, seated in his wheelchair. The commercial emperor who dominated the capital, an accident 6 months ago had left his legs paralyzed, transforming his disposition into one of gloom and ruthlessness. Everyone said that the Sioux family was pushing me, the illegitimate daughter, into a pit of fire by offering me up. But they did not know that the Sioux family's connection to the Gu family was a tremendous fortune begged for on bended knees by my parents. Adrian's face showed no expression, his profound eyes landing on me from several meters away, as if watching a farce unrelated to him. His assistant behind him had a grim face, already preparing to step forward and handle this mishap. I am not willing. I repeated it once more, my voice not loud, yet clearly resonating throughout the entire church. Slap. A resounding slap landed on my face, delivered by my mother. She rushed onto the stage, her body trembling as she pointed at me. You rebellious daughter. You truly are mad, you've disgraced the entire Sioux family. Hurry and apologize to Mr. Adrian. I licked the bloody taste at the corner of my mouth and smiled. Apologize? Why should I apologize? The marriage is mine. If I do not wish to proceed, must others force me? My father trembled with anger, his lips quivering. You wretched creature. Today, you will marry whether you want to or not. As he spoke, he actually attempted to drag me forward. Enough. Adrian maneuvered his electric wheelchair, slowly approaching the front of the stage, gazing at me calmly. Give me a reason. I looked at him, this man legendary for his brutality, whose eyes now held no anger, only inquiry. I took a deep breath and uttered the pretext I had prepared long ago. I do not like you, and even less do I wish to marry a disabled person. These words were venomous and cruel, even piercing to my own ears. As expected, the entire audience gasped in shock. Victor's face turned completely pale, nearly fainting. Iris looked at me with eyes as if gazing upon a dead person. Adrian's gaze finally darkened. His assistant Ethan stepped forward, coldly stating, Miss Claire, one may eat carelessly, but words cannot be spoken recklessly. Our Gu family is not something you can insult. The atmosphere instantly plummeted to freezing point, yet I silently recited in my heart. System, settle. Ding. On the first day of being single, a reward of 1 million is granted, along with +1 to life value. The cash has been transferred to your anonymous account. The cold mechanical voice in my mind was my sole consolation at this moment. With money and life, what do I have to fear? I straightened my back, meeting Adrian's icy gaze. What I said is the truth. A forcibly twisted melon is not sweet, Mr. Adrian. This marriage, I will not proceed. After speaking, I lifted the hem of my wedding dress and, under the incredulous gazes of all, turned and walked away. I did not make it out of the church. 2 bodyguards in black suits blocked my path. My father Victor, with a trembling voice, said to Adrian, Mr. Adrian, please do not be angry, this child's mind is unclear. I will bind her and send her to you right away. Dad. Iris hurriedly pulled him back, her eyes glancing toward Adrian. Mr. Adrian, my sister is ignorant, please do not stoop to her level. Adrian ignored their father-daughter performance, merely looking at me with an inscrutable expression. Miss Clare, the wedding was something you agreed to yourself, now you publicly repent the marriage, are you toying with me? I clenched my fists. I am not toying with you. I have simply come to realize that in my life, I do not wish to depend on anyone. Is that so? Adrian chuckled lightly, though the smile did not reach his eyes. Miss Clare, I admire your pursuit of independence. However, everything comes at a cost. As soon as his words fell, Assistant Ethan stepped forward and said to Victor, Victor, according to the agreement, if the marriage alliance fails, the Sioux Corporation must compensate the GU Corporation with $10 billion in breach of contract penalties. Additionally, the GU Corporation will fully withdraw all investments and project collaborations with the Sioux Corporation. $10 billion. Victor's vision darkened, nearly collapsing. Iris's face also paled. The Sioux family's total assets amounted to no more than $2 or $3 billion. This $10 billion was driving them to their deaths. Victor thudded to his knees in Adrian's direction. Mr. Adrian, please show mercy. It's all this rebellious daughter's fault. If you must punish, punish her. It has nothing to do with the Sioux family. I watched his despicable demeanor coldly, feeling only disgust. This was my father, who, for the sake of benefits, could unhesitatingly push me out as a shield. My mother also wailed dramatically, Mr. Adrian, we will send her back to the room immediately. Tonight she will be yours, please spare us. I watched this family's ugly display, my stomach churning. I turned to Adrian, this is my own decision, I will bear the consequences alone. Let my parents go, and let the Sioux family go. Adrian raised an eyebrow, seeming amused, you bear it? With what will you bear it? $10 billion, can you afford to repay it? I will repay it. I stated resolutely. The entire venue erupted in sneers. An abandoned illegitimate daughter, what could she use to repay $10 billion? It was utterly fantastical. Iris mocked sharply, Claire, stop talking big here. What will you use to repay? Your worthless life? I ignored her, merely staring fixedly at Adrian. Give me 3 years. Adrian looked at me deeply and suddenly smiled. Fine, I give you 3 years. He waved his hand, signaling the bodyguards to step aside. From today onward, you, Claire, owe me, Adrian, $10 billion. The interest will be calculated at the bank's highest rate. He paused and added, do not think of running, you know my methods. After speaking, he maneuvered his wheelchair and left the church without looking back. My parents slumped on the ground, looking at me as if they wanted to devour me alive. You wretched creature. You wretched creature. Our Sioux family will be ruined by you. I did not glance at them again, lifting the expensive wedding dress and walking out of this cage-like church. The sunlight was dazzling, yet I felt an unprecedented freedom. Ding! The host has successfully escaped the original family, rewarded with a luxury apartment set and +5 to life value. Dressed in the wedding gown, I stood on the street like a joke. Passers-by glanced sideways, pointing and whispering, but I did not care. My phone vibrated. It was a bank message notifying the deposit of 1 million yuan. I smiled, having money felt truly wonderful. Immediately after, another message arrived from an unknown number. Platinum Joy Mansion, Building A, Unit 3201, password is your birthday. Ethan, Adrian's assistant. I was somewhat surprised. I did not expect him to actually give me an apartment. Was it to prevent me from running, to monitor me? Regardless, having a place to stay was better than being homeless. I hailed a taxi and gave the address. The driver glanced at me through the rearview mirror, hesitating to speak. Upon arriving at Platinum Joy Mansion, I realized it was a renowned affluent district in the capital, with extremely strict security. My appearance in the wedding dress was too conspicuous, and I was stopped by security. I reported the unit number and my name. After verification, the guard respectfully allowed passage. Swiping open the door to 3201, I was stunned by the sight before me. Expansive floor-to-ceiling windows, minimalist modern decor, fully equipped with furniture and appliances, all from top luxury brands. The walk-in closet even had the latest seasonal ready-to-wear clothes, shoes, and bags, with tags still attached. The refrigerator was stuffed with fresh ingredients and imported fruits. On the table lay a black card and a new phone. A card bore a boldly scrawled line, "Behave yourself." This did not seem like preparations for someone owing 10 billion in debt, it resembled a gilded cage for a kept woman. What exactly was Adrian planning? I shook my head, thinking no more. The priority was to take a bath, change clothes, and then have a good meal. I comfortably soaked in the bathtub when the system voice resounded in my mind again. On the second day of being single, rewarded with 1 million in cash and +1 to life value. Current life value, 7 points. Current account balance, 2 million. Looking at my pale face in the mirror, a smile curved my lips. Before the wedding, I suddenly suffered acute heart failure. The doctor said I would not live beyond a month. It was this single life extension system that abruptly appeared, giving me hope to survive. As long as I remained single, I could live on and possess immense wealth. Pursuing men? Better to earn money for life extension and thrive alone in beauty. As I pondered, the doorbell rang. I was puzzled, who would come looking for me here? Wrapped in a bathrobe, I peered through the peephole. It was Iris. How did she know I was here? I opened the door. Iris stood at the entrance with an arrogant expression. She sized me up, her gaze landing on my bathrobe, eyes filled with jealousy and disdain. "Claire, you really have skills. Regretting the marriage yet still moving into such a place, have you latched onto another old man?" I leaned against the doorframe, lazily looking at her. "What's the matter?" Iris was infuriated by my indifferent attitude. "What's the matter?" "Of course there's a matter. Mom and Dad are nearly driven to death by you, the company is on the verge of bankruptcy, yet here you are, hiding and living carefree." As she spoke, she attempted to barge in. I extended my arm to block her. "This is my home, you are not welcome." "Your home?" Iris reacted as if hearing the biggest joke. "Claire, do not forget, Sioux family blood flows in your veins. You harmed the Sioux family, you must take responsibility." "Take responsibility? How? By going back to marry Adrian in your stead?" I sneered. "Iris, it was you who cried and shouted unwillingness to marry back then, now you blame me?" Initially, the marriage agreement between the Sioux and Gu families specified the eldest daughter of the Sioux family, Iris. It was she who despised Adrian's disability, throwing tantrums and threatening suicide, prompting our parents to turn their attention to me, the illegitimate daughter. They promised me that if I obediently married, they would give my mother a large sum of money for her peaceful retirement. For my mother's sake, I agreed. But just a week before the wedding, my mother suddenly died of a heart attack. And I, at that time, was diagnosed with the same heart condition. No one from the Sioux family came to see me. They only cared if I could appear at the wedding on time. From that moment, I completely lost faith in the Sioux family. What nonsense are you spouting?" Iris's eyes darted evasively. "That was because I had someone I liked. Unlike you, fickle and shameless." She grew increasingly agitated, her voice rising sharply. "Claire, I warn you, you had better hurry and admit your mistake to Mr. Adrian, beg him to spare the Sioux family. Otherwise, I will make sure you cannot stay in the capital." "Oh? Is that so?" I raised an eyebrow. "I would like to see how you make me unable to stay." After speaking, I slammed the door shut. From outside came Iris's furious curses, which I entirely ignored. Speaking even one more word to such a person was a waste of my life value. Early the next morning, my name trended on hot searches. Sioux family's illegitimate daughter publicly regrets marriage, humiliates disabled tycoon, ungrateful Claire, Sioux Corporation on the brink of bankruptcy. Clicking in, it was all curses directed at me. They said I despised the poor and loved the rich, regretting the marriage upon seeing Adrian's disability, labeling me an outright gold digger. There were also so-called insiders exposing that my private life was chaotic, having long hooked up with other men. Attached were several blurry photos of a girl resembling my figure, intimately posing with different men. I recognized at a glance that it was Iris. She was truly ruthless, willing to release her own scandals to frame me. The comment section was filled with abuse. Such a woman should be drowned in a pig cage. Pity Mr. Adrian, deceived by this wretch. The Sue family must have had 8 lifetimes of bad luck to raise such an ungrateful wolf. Looking at these comments, not only was I not angry, but I found it somewhat amusing. This generation of netizens is truly easily swayed. I ignored the online storm and leisurely prepared a sumptuous breakfast for myself. Just after finishing, my phone rang from an unknown number. I answered, and an arrogant female voice came through. "Is this Claire?" "I'm Bella." "Bella?" I thought for a moment. She was Iris's rich second-generation best friend. "What's up?" "Claire, you're really something, daring to offend Mr. Adrian. Now the Sue family is finished, are you satisfied?" Bella's tone was full of schadenfreude. I could not be bothered with her nonsense and was about to hang up when she spoke again. "However, this miss is in a good mood today and can point you to a way out." "What way out?" 8 o'clock tonight, Dynasty Club, Thompson's gathering. Thompson likes your type, pure yet with a touch of wildness. If you serve him well, let alone 10 billion, he would give you 20 billion. The Dynasty Club is the capital's infamous money pit. That Thompson, I had heard of vaguely, a greasy old man in his 50s who played very loosely. Iris and Bella were pushing me into the fire pit. "What? Afraid to come?" Bella taunted. "If you still want to survive in the capital, come obediently. Otherwise, bear the consequences." After speaking, she hung up. Looking at my phone, my gaze turned cold. Did they think I was still the old Claire who could be manipulated at will? I originally did not want to bother with these clowns, but their repeated provocations, did they really think I was made of clay? 8 o'clock that evening, Dynasty Club. I changed into a black cocktail dress, applied exquisite makeup, and arrived punctually for the appointment. Just arriving at the private room door, I heard Bella's voice from inside. "Rest assured, Thompson, that little bitch will definitely come. She's desperate now. If she doesn't cling to your thigh, what else can she do?" A sleazy male voice responded, "Good, good, good, Bella, you're the sensible one. Once it's done, you won't be short of benefits. Then I'll thank Thompson in advance." I pushed open the door and walked in. The room was smoky and chaotic. Besides Bella and the pot-bellied Thompson, there were several scantily clad men and women. Iris was there too, stunned upon seeing me. "Yo, she really came?" Bella spoke sarcastically. "Quick, come over and toast Thompson." Thompson's lecherous eyes scanned my body up and down, making me nauseous. Not bad, even prettier than in the photos." He rubbed his hands, grinning lewdly. I did not move, merely looking at them coldly. "Claire, what are you standing there for? Hurry over," Iris urged, fearing I would ruin her plan. I picked up a glass of red wine from the table and slowly walked to Thompson. Thinking I was toasting, he cheerfully raised his own glass. Just as he was about to clink glasses with me, I flicked my wrist, splashing the full glass of red wine onto his greasy face. "Ah!" Thompson let out a scream. The entire room fell silent instantly, everyone staring at me in stunned silence. Bella reacted first, shrieking, "Claire! Are you crazy?" Iris's face paled in fright. What are you doing?" Thompson wiped the wine from his face, trembling with rage. "You stinking bitch! You dare splash me? Grab her. Today, I'll play you to death." Several men immediately surrounded me. I was prepared, grabbing an empty wine bottle from the table and smashing it hard against the table edge. Bang! The bottle shattered. I gripped the remaining half, the sharp glass edge aimed at the foremost man. "Who dares come closer?" I coldly shouted. Those men were intimidated by my aura, hesitating to advance. Thompson roared in fury, "Useless! A bunch of useless! Get her! If anything happens, I'll take responsibility. At that moment, the room door was suddenly kicked open from outside. I dare see who moves her. A cold voice rang out. I looked toward the sound and was completely stunned. Adrian? How was he here? He was still in that custom wheelchair, followed by the expressionless Ethan and several black-clad bodyguards. His appearance instantly dropped the room's atmosphere to zero. Upon seeing Adrian, Thompson's anger instantly turned into a fawning smile. Mr. Adrian? How did you come? He said while frantically wiping the wine stains from his face. Adrian ignored him, his gaze fixed directly on me. Seeing the broken bottle in my hand, his brows furrowed imperceptibly. Come over. I hesitated but put down the bottle and walked behind him. Thompson, seeing this, felt a thud in his heart and probed, Mr. Adrian, you and this miss are. My person, Adrian stated flatly, his tone brooking no argument. Do you have an opinion? No. I wouldn't dare. Thompson waved his hands in fright. Misunderstanding, all a misunderstanding. I didn't know this miss was your person, I was blind. As he spoke, he glared fiercely at Bella and Iris. Bella and Iris were already scared silly. They could not imagine that I, publicly humiliated by Adrian and burdened with 10 billion in debt, could still receive his protection. Iris's face was ashen, her body swaying. She looked at me, her eyes filled with shock and jealousy. Adrian turned his wheelchair to face Thompson. My person, you dare touch? Mr. Adrian, I was wrong. I really was wrong. Thompson knelt with a thud, kowtowing non-stop. Please, sir, be magnanimous and spare me this time. Adrian sneered, Ethan. Yes. The Jean Corporation, I do not wish to see it in the capital tomorrow. Yes. Ethan nodded. Upon hearing this, Thompson completely collapsed to the ground, his face ashen. One sentence could decide a company's fate. This was Adrian's power. Adrian did not glance at him again, turning his gaze to the trembling Bella and Iris. And you too. Bella's legs weakened in fright, kneeling down, Mr. Adrian, it's not my fault. It's all Iris. Iris made me do it. Iris looked at her best friend in disbelief. Oh? Adrian's gaze landed on Iris. Do you have anything to say? Iris met Adrian's cold gaze, scared out of her wits. She threw herself at Adrian's wheelchair, crying and begging, Mr. Adrian, I was wrong. It was all jealousy toward Claire, I was momentarily confused. Her words were cut off by Adrian. Is Claire a name you can call? Iris was stunned, then quickly corrected, no. It's, my sister. Adrian's gaze grew colder. Ethan, slap her. Yes. Ethan stepped forward and mercilessly slapped Iris's face. Slap. The crisp sound echoed in the room. Iris's face instantly swelled, blood flowing from her mouth corner. She clutched her face, looking at Adrian in disbelief. I stood aside, feeling only absurdity. The man who wished me dead 1 second was standing up for me the next. Adrian, what exactly do you want? Get out. Adrian uttered one word. Iris and Bella, as if granted amnesty, scrambled out of the room. The room was left with only me, Adrian, and his people. The atmosphere was awkward. I lowered my head, unsure what to say. Hand. He suddenly spoke. I was stunned, then realized he meant the hand that held the bottle earlier. I opened my palm, a thin blood mark was evident. It must have been accidentally cut when smashing the bottle. Adrian frowned, taking a handkerchief from his pocket and handing it to me. Idiot. He muttered. I took the handkerchief, silently pressing the wound, and said thank you. He said no more, maneuvering the wheelchair to leave. I followed behind, exiting the Dynasty Club. At the entrance, a black Rolls-Royce waited. Ethan opened the door, Adrian boarded. I thought he was leaving and was preparing to hail a taxi home when he suddenly said, "Get in." I hesitated. What? Want to be cornered by others again? He raised an eyebrow at me. I had no choice but to board reluctantly. The atmosphere was oppressively silent. I stealthily glanced at the man beside me. His eyes closed, leaning against the seat back, his profile appeared particularly cold and rigid in the dim light. Why did he help me today? Was it because of that phrase, my person? But between us, aside from the 10 billion debt, there was nothing else. I was utterly perplexed. The car drove all the way back to Platinum Joy Mansion. Upon arriving downstairs, I unbuckled my seatbelt, preparing to alight. Wait. He suddenly opened his eyes. I turned back, meeting his profound gaze. Why regret the marriage? He asked, still that question. I have already said. That is not the truth. He asserted. Claire, you are not someone who would grievance yourself for money and fame, nor would you use such a clumsy excuse to hurt others. My heart jolted. He actually understood me so well. We had clearly met only a few times. I do not understand what you mean. I turned my face away, not daring to look at him. Do not understand? He chuckled lightly. At the wedding, you were so nervous your palms sweated, but your eyes held no trace of disdain or disgust. When saying those hurtful words, you did not even dare look at me. This man's observation was too keen. Claire, he leaned closer, his warm breath brushing my ear. Tell me, what is the real reason? His voice was low and magnetic, carrying a bewitching power. I nearly blurted it out. But the cold system prompt in my mind instantly pulled me back to reality. Warning! Warning! The host is too close to the opposite sex, risk of ending single status. Please maintain distance immediately. I abruptly pushed him away, opened the car door, and fled like escaping. Behind me came his low chuckle. I ran all the way back to the apartment, closed the door, and leaned against it, panting heavily. My heart pounded, unsure if from running too fast or something else. Ding! The host has successfully resisted temptation, upholding the single front, rewarded with 5 million in cash and plus 10 to life value. Current life value, 17 points. Current account balance, 7 million. Looking at the added money in the account, my chaotic thoughts calmed slightly. That's right, Claire, remember, men only hinder your speed in earning money for life extension. Adrian must absolutely not be touched. In the following days, Adrian did not appear again. My life returned to calm. Every day was collecting money, exercising, reading books, and researching investment projects. The system punctually deposited 1 million each day, my account balance soon exceeded 10 million. Life value rose to 20 points, I could clearly feel my physical condition improving, my complexion becoming rosier. The online turmoil subsided quickly after Adrian's intervention. The abusive comments vanished overnight, replaced by ambiguous press releases. The Sue family sighed, probably fearing Adrian behind me, did not harass me again. I only heard that Sue Corporation's stock price plummeted, teetering on bankruptcy. Victor anxiously sought help everywhere but met walls at every turn. All this was unrelated to me. That day, as I watched financial news, a call came in. It was my university mentor, Professor Andrew. Claire, how have you been lately? Professor Andrew's voice was as gentle as ever. Quite well, Professor, and you? I'm fine. Right, let me tell you something. I have a friend working on a human-computer interaction startup project with great potential, but short on startup funds. Since you studied this, I thought to ask if you're interested in investing. Human-computer interaction? This was my most interested field in university. Sure, send me the project proposal. Alright, I'll email it immediately. After hanging up, I soon received Professor Andrew's email. I carefully read the project proposal. The project, called Oracle, aimed to develop a brainwave-controlled smart home and assistive medical system, primarily for mobility-impaired disabled individuals. The concept was excellent, the technology forward-looking. If successful, it would be a market with immense potential. The only drawback was it was too capital intensive, no wonder it struggled for investment. I decided almost immediately, I would invest in this project. Not just for its commercial value, but for its social significance. If this system succeeded, people like Adrian could live more conveniently, right? Thinking of him, my heart uncontrollably skipped a beat. I quickly shook my head, banishing this dangerous thought. I called Professor Andrew back, expressing my willingness to invest. Professor Andrew was delighted and immediately arranged a meeting with the project founder. The meeting place was a coffee shop. I arrived early, finding a window seat. Soon, a man in a white shirt and gold-rimmed glasses approached. "Hello, are you Miss Claire?" I'm introduced by Professor Andrew, "My name is Evan." The man looked refined, with shallow dimples when smiling, giving a refreshing feeling. "Hello, Mr. Evan." I stood and shook his hand. We sat and began discussing the project. Evan was a tech geek, once on his specialty, he spoke endlessly, eyes shining. I listened attentively, occasionally offering my views. We conversed congenially, unaware that over an hour had passed. "Miss Claire, you are truly my soulmate." Evan excitedly grasped my hand, "Many of your ideas align perfectly with mine. I've sought so many investors, they only care about when they'll profit. Only you truly understand my project." I uncomfortably withdrew my hand and smiled, "I just think this project is very meaningful." Chatting quite happily, I looked up and met Adrian's expressionless face. Unbeknownst when he arrived, he looked down at us, his eyes holding emotions I could not fathom. Ethan pushed his wheelchair, standing behind with a serious face. Evan, not knowing Adrian, saw his hostile appearance and instinctively shielded me. "May I ask who you are?" Adrian ignored him, staring intently at me. "Claire, owing me 10 billion, yet leisurely drinking coffee here with another man?" Evan's face changed, looking at me in shock. "Claire, is what he says true?" Before I could explain, Adrian sneered, "What? She didn't tell you she was the woman I rejected in marriage?" His words caused surrounding guests to look over, whispering. Evan's face alternated red and white, evidently shocked. I frowned, an inexplicable anger rising. "Adrian, what exactly do you want?" "I do not want anything." He looked at me, eyes complex. "I just came to remind you not to forget your identity. You are now my debtor." He emphasized debtor. I laughed in anger, "So what? As your debtor, do I have no personal freedom? Not even allowed to drink coffee with a friend?" "Friend?" He glanced at Evan, eyes contemptuous. "Found a replacement so quickly? Your taste is not great." "You." I was so angry I could not speak. Evan could no longer hold back, standing up, "Sir, please speak respectfully. Miss Claire and I are only discussing work." "Discussing work?" Adrian laughed as if hearing a joke. "Does discussing work require holding hands?" He referred to the moment Evan excitedly grasped my hand. Evan was at a loss for words. I took a deep breath, suppressing my anger, and said to Evan, "Mr. Evan, sorry to let you see this. We'll discuss the investment another day." Then, I turned to Adrian, coldly saying, "Mr. Adrian, if there's something, let's discuss outside, don't affect others here." After speaking, I grabbed my bag and left the coffee shop without looking back. Adrian followed out. I stopped, turning to look at him. "What exactly do you want? Does humiliating me make you happy?" "I did not humiliate you." He looked at me, eyes complex. "I just do not want to see you with other men." I was stunned. Was he jealous? This thought was immediately suppressed. Impossible. He was Adrian, the lofty commercial emperor. How could he be jealous over me? I must be crazy. Warning. Warning. Host's heart rate abnormal. Please distance from the danger source immediately. The sharp alarm in my mind pulled me back to reality. I stepped back, increasing the distance. "Mr. Adrian, I think you are mistaken. Between us, there is only a debt relationship. my private life is none of your business. None of my business? He smiled self-mockingly. Claire, do you know how many connections I mobilized to suppress the online news for you? How much effort I expended to ensure the Sue family dares not trouble you again? I was dazed. Why did you do this? Because I do not want you aggrieved. He looked at me, eyes fervent. Claire, from the moment you turned and left at the wedding, I knew you were different from other women. I investigated you. You did not fare well in the Sue family, but you never complained. You excelled academically, talented, yet willingly sacrificed your future for that unworthy family. You agreed to marry me not for wealth and glory, but for your mother. Claire, a girl like you should not be tainted by those filthy matters. So, he knew everything. He knew my grievances, my unwillingness, my lack of choice. My nose tingled, tears nearly falling. Warning. Host's emotions fluctuating intensely. Risk of falling in love. Life value -5. I jolted, forcibly holding back tears. No, Claire, you cannot waver. Money and life are the most important. I steeled my heart and coldly said, finished? If so, I should go. Oh, right, that 10 billion, I'll repay as soon as possible. After speaking, I turned and walked away, not daring to look back. I feared one more second would collapse my hard-built defenses. I nearly fled in panic. Back at the apartment, the first thing I did was call Evan. Mr. Evan, sorry for the grievance today. It's all right, Miss Claire. Evan's voice sounded somewhat dejected. That person is Adrian from the Goo Corporation, right? Yes. The other end was silent for a moment. Miss Claire, you really owe him 10 billion? Yes. Then why invest in my project? You should be short on money now. Because I believe your project has value. I said, do not worry about the investment money, within 3 days, 50 million will be transferred to your company account. 50 million? Evan was stunned. Miss Claire, where did you get so much money? You do not need to worry about that. I said, I have only one requirement, I want to be the largest shareholder in this project. No problem. Of course no problem. Evan was incoherently excited. Miss Claire, you are my angel investor. No, you are my goddess. I was amused by him, my mood improving considerably. After hanging up, I immediately contacted the system, transferring the account money to the investment company and signing the related agreements. Only after completing this did I sigh in relief. No matter what Adrian wanted, I must strengthen quickly. Only with my own career could I truly control my destiny. The next day, I went to Evan's company. Located in a tech park, it was small with only a dozen people, but everyone was full of drive. As the newly appointed largest shareholder, I received a warm welcome. I did not put on airs and quickly integrated with the team. In the following days, I practically lived at the company. Discussing technical solutions with the team, optimizing product design, contacting partner vendors. I was busy non-stop, yet felt immensely fulfilled. Watching the company's project take shape bit by bit, that sense of achievement could not be bought with any amount of money. Of course, I did not miss the system's daily rewards. My account balance snowballed, growing larger. Life value steadily increased, my body improving, even allowing me to pull all-nighters with the company's programmers. During this time, Iris called several times, subtly inquiring about my relationship with Adrian. I directly blacklisted her. Adrian did not come looking for me again. I thought our lives would have no further intersection. Until that day, I received Ethan's call. Miss Claire, Mr. Adrian has had an accident. Ethan's voice sounded urgent. My heart sank. What happened? Sir, he went abroad for leg rehabilitation a few days ago. This morning he suddenly became critically ill and is now in resuscitation. Critically ill? My mind buzzed blank. How could this be? Wasn't it just his legs? Sir, he, besides the leg injury, has a severe old heart condition. This long flight plus intense rehabilitation triggered heart failure. Old heart condition, my heart sank heavily. Miss Claire, Ethan's voice carried a plea. Before coma, sir kept calling your name. Can you come see him? Gripping the phone, my fingers ice cold. Go or not? Reason told me not to. Adrian was my danger source, proximity would cause abnormal heart rate, emotional fluctuations, even deducting precious life value. But uncontrollably, his pale face and those profound, complex eyes when looking at me flashed in my mind. He bailed me out, suppressed news for me, blocked all harassments. He clearly knew everything about me, yet never truly forced me. If he really died like this. I dared not think further. Send me the address, I said. I booked the fastest flight to Switzerland. During the over 10-hour flight, I was anxious. As soon as the plane landed, I rushed to the hospital. Outside the VIP ward, I saw the anxiously waiting Ethan. Miss Claire, you've finally come. How is he? Still in resuscitation. Ethan's eyes reddened, the doctor said, the situation is not optimistic. We stood outside the resuscitation room, every minute and second torment. After an unknown time, the door finally opened. A blonde, blue-eyed doctor emerged, face exhausted. Who is the patient's family? I am. Ethan immediately approached. The patient has temporarily escaped life danger. The doctor said, but his condition remains dangerous, with very weak will to live. If he himself does not want to live, nothing we do will help. Weak will to live. Through the ward's glass window, I saw Adrian lying on the bed. Wearing an oxygen mask, body full of tubes, face pale. He was no longer the lofty, invincible Adrian. At this moment, he was fragile, as if a touch would shatter him. My tears finally fell uncontrollably. Warning. Host's emotions out of control, life value -10. The cold system prompt rang in my mind, but I ignored it. I pushed Ethan aside and rushed into the ward. I gripped his ice-cold hand, pressing my face to its back, sobbing. Adrian, wake up, you cannot die, you said I owe you 10 billion, you haven't collected yet. Wake up, I'll tell you everything, tell you why I regretted the marriage. I babbled incoherently, tears wetting his hand back. Unsure of illusion, I felt his fingers move slightly. Adrian ultimately woke, on a dusk 3 days later. I dozed at his bedside, groggily, I felt someone gently stroking my hair. I awoke abruptly, looking up to meet his gentle eyes. You're awake, I exclaimed in joy, tears flowing again. He tried speaking but could not due to dry throat. I quickly poured water, wetting his lips with a cotton swab. Do not speak, rest well. He looked at me, then slowly raised his hand, gently wiping my tears with his fingertip. His action was slow and light, yet like an electric current, instantly striking my heart. Warning! Warning! Heart rate too fast. Life value -2. I quickly stepped back, distancing. He looked at me, eyes dimming. What you said, is it true? I was stunned, then realized he meant what I said during his coma. My face reddened instantly. That was to stimulate you, to wake you quickly. I insisted stubbornly. He chuckled lightly, not exposing me. Then now, can you tell me why you regretted the marriage? I looked at him, hesitating. The system was my secret, I could not tell anyone. But seeing his pale face and expectant eyes, I could not bear to deceive him again. I took a deep breath, deciding to reveal half the truth. Because I am ill, I said, the same as your illness, heart disease. The doctor said I would not live long. Adrian's pupils contracted sharply. His face drained of color, his grip on my hand tightening involuntarily. When did it happen? A week before the wedding. Why not tell me? His voice trembled slightly. What use telling you? I smiled self-mockingly. Let you marry someone about to die? After a long time, he hoarsely said, sorry. I shook my head, it's not your fault. Ding. Host completed hidden task, confess to target character. Reward, life value plus 30, obtain item concentric knot. Concentric knot, special item, can bind hosts and designated targets' vital signs. When one is in mortal danger, the other can consume own life value for rescue. Note, this item is single-use, binding cannot be undone. I was stunned. Concentric knot? Binding vital signs? Did this not mean that as long as I lived, Adrian would not die? Looking at the red knot appearing in my palm, my emotions were extremely complex. System, what exactly are you? Adrian's body improved day by day. Perhaps due to regained will to live, his indicators recovered quickly. I temporarily set aside domestic work, staying in Switzerland to care for him. The atmosphere between us became subtly ambiguous. He was no longer aggressive as before, I dropped all defenses. We ate together daily, strolled, watched sunsets. He told me childhood anecdotes, I shared my company's progress. We were like an ordinary couple, enjoying rare peace and warmth. Of course, I always remembered the system's warnings, maintaining safe physical distance. But sometimes, he would inadvertently touch my hand or tidy my wind-blown hair. Each time, my heart skipped a beat, then I received system warnings deducting life value. Though only 1 or 2 points each time accumulated, I still felt pained. Claire, that day during our garden stroll, he suddenly said, when I'm better, let's hold the wedding again, okay? I stopped, looking at him. His eyes were serious, sincere, no joke. My heartbeat instantly disordered. Mary? What about my system? My money and life value? I instinctively wanted to refuse. But seeing his expectant eyes, I could not utter the refusal. Ding. Triggered ultimate task, true love choice. Option 1, accept Adrian's proposal. Task success, system auto-dissolves, host loses all money and remaining life value, returns to ordinary life. Option 2, reject Adrian's proposal. Task success, reward 10 billion cash, life value plus 1,000. Host will completely sever ties with Adrian, never meet again. Please choose within 24 hours. My mind buzzed, I stiffened entirely. What? Accept proposal, system disappears? Then all my hard-earned money and life value gone? I'll revert to the Claire who could die of heart failure anytime. No, I cannot accept. Then I can only choose rejection. But rejection's consequence is never seeing Adrian again. Looking at the man before me, handsome and gentle, deeply devoted. For me, he disregarded his own life. Do I really abandon him for money and life? My heart was in utter chaos. I did not sleep the entire night. In my mind, 2 little figures argued. One said, Claire, are you stupid? Of course choose money and life. With these, what man can't you have? Why abandon the whole forest for one Adrian? The other said, but can you really let him go? Have you forgotten all he did for you? Money gone can be re-earned, life gone, is truly gone. But if together with him, even if life's short, it's happy, isn't it? I irritably clutched my hair, trapped in dilemma. Early next morning, with 2 large dark circles, I went to Adrian. He was reading files, seeing me, he immediately set them down. What's wrong? Didn't sleep well? I looked at him, took a deep breath, finally deciding. Adrian, I cannot marry you. His smile froze. The light in his eyes dimmed bit by bit. Why? Because. I steeled myself, uttering the prepared excuse, I cannot forget Evan. Evan? He was stunned. That, pretty boy? He is not called pretty boy, he is Evan. I corrected. We have much in common, happy together. I've decided to invest in his company and start business with him. Adrian's face grew increasingly ugly. He stared fixedly, as if to detect lies on my face. But I gave him no chance. I forced myself to meet his gaze, firm, no evasion. Sorry, Adrian. I admit, I had a trace of heartbeat for you before. But that is not love. I appreciate all you did for me, but we are not suitable. That 10 billion, I'll repay soon. And this? I took out the black card from my pocket, placing it on his bedside cabinet, returning it too. After speaking, not daring to look again, I turned and left. Behind came his voice, suppressing anger and pain. Claire, you will regret. My steps paused, but I did not turn back. Sorry, Adrian. I do not want regret, I just want to live. Ding. Congratulations, host, on completing ultimate task. Reward 10 billion cash, life value plus 1,000. Current account balance, 15.32 billion. Current life value, 1,088 points. Looking at the astonishing numbers on the system panel, I felt no joy. My heart felt empty, as if a piece was gouged out. I returned home. I poured all energy into the Oracle project. Under Evan and my joint efforts, the project progressed smoothly. Our first-generation product was soon developed successfully and launched. Upon release, it caused huge sensation, the company's stock soared. I became the tech industry's youngest and wealthiest female CEO. I accepted countless interviews, gracing various finance magazine covers. Everyone said I was a business prodigy, a female role model. But only I knew how unhappy I was. Every night I dreamed of Adrian. Dreamed of him on the hospital bed, pale and fragile. Dreamed of his eyes full of pain and disappointment. I often awoke at midnight, sitting alone until dawn. He and I had no contact anymore. From financial news, I learned he fully recovered, discharged, and resumed control of GU Corporation. He was more decisive than before, methods more ruthless. Under his lead, GU Corporation expanded continuously, becoming a true commercial empire. Beside him, other women's figures began appearing. Popular stars, famous hosts, well-matched socialites. Each time seeing news of him with other women, my heart ached like pricked by needles. But this was my choice. What right did I have to grieve? That day, as I reviewed files in the office, Evan knocked and entered. Claire, there's a charity gala tonight, want to go together? I shook my head, not going, no interest. Go, Evan persuaded. This gala is hosted by GU Corporation, all capital's prominent figures will attend. Good for our company's development. GU Corporation, my hand trembled. Moreover. Evan looked at me, hesitating. I heard Adrian might announce his engagement tonight. Engagement, with whom? Seems. Lynn family's daughter, Charlotte. Charlotte, I knew her. Capital's top socialite, beautiful, good family, with Adrian, truly a match made in heaven. I was silent long before saying, fine, I'll go. At the gala, in appropriate evening gown, arm in Evan's, I appeared. My presence immediately drew all attention. After all, Adrian and my regretful wedding farce remained a talked-about topic in Capital's high society. I saw Victor and Iris. Seeing me, their eyes complex, wanting to approach but daring not. I also saw Bella, hiding in the crowd, not daring to look. I even saw Thompson, now just a small company boss, scared to detour upon seeing me. Things changed, people different, yet I felt no happiness. Finally, in the venue's center, I saw him. In sharp black suit, posture erect, aura powerful. His legs fully healed, no trace of disability. He held a wine glass, chatting amiably with Charlotte beside. Talented man, beautiful woman, like a perfect pair. He seemed to sense my gaze, looking over. Our eyes met, his cold and unfamiliar, as if we never knew each other. I awkwardly turned away, heart aching intensely. At that moment, the gala host took the stage. Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Tonight, we have a special segment. Our Adrian has an important announcement. All lights focused on Adrian. Holding Charlotte's hand, he slowly ascended the stage. My heart rose to my throat. Was he really announcing the engagement? Adrian took the microphone, gaze sweeping the venue, finally landing on me. Looking at me, he slowly spoke. Today, what I announce is not my engagement. The venue erupted. Charlotte's face instantly turned ugly. What I announce is, Adrian's gaze never left me, I want to collect a debt from a lady. He paused. Claire, the 10 billion you owe me, when will